Samasta Suki no Bhavantu Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. In the hopelessness of my life, you appeared. You took my hand, I could finally breathe. And then you told me we have a lot more to do for this world. I had no idea what was going on, and I have no words to tell you how grateful I am that you took me on this path of freedom and love. Life is beautiful on the path of selflessness. Life is meaningful. Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Suki Bhavantu. I feel you in my heart, I am so alive. Every day is a blessing when serving God and being the vessel for the righteous cause. There's no more pain and no more sorrows. This amazing world of duality doesn't need false morality. No one is lower, equal or higher. We are all unique. Love will save humanity. May all beings be happy and free. Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and free.
Welcome. Welcome to our dear panelists and our participants to our opening webinar, where we begin a journey towards defining and awakening the essence of feminine expression and its role in our world. Let's dive deep today into the sacredness of femininity in search of clarity, understanding, and profound personal insights. We will unravel the layers of female identity and reveal its importance and influence on society. This series of webinars and events are following through the Festival of Womanhood program that we had on March 8th. The Festival of Womanhood is a flagship event of the World Woman Project, created to celebrate, respect, heal, and empower women across all nationalities and honor the feminine across all living species. Brought to you by Mohanji International, inspired by our beloved Mohanji, a well-known humanitarian. Women are actually the encouraging force, helping to transform humankind to kind humans. This series is to acknowledge and respect womanhood. Let's now celebrate the sacred feminine coming alive today. My guests today are three extraordinary women, and I hope their stories will inspire your spirit, light your heart, and illuminate your soul, and inspire your own life journey. This time, just to mention, we will have also open Q&A session, and our participants will be allowed and will participate with their questions as well. Now I would like to introduce my guests. Dr. Trish Sanders, born in Germany. Hello, Dr. Trish. Raised in Japan, combines her background in venture capital with a passion for holistic wellness. Disheartened by society's obsession with material gains, she founded Starshine Schools in Phoenix to promote inner community and environmental peace. Now an advisor to world leaders, Dr. Sanders integrates metaphysics, frequency medicine, yoga, and coaching to foster holistic well-being. Welcome, Dr. Sanders. Our next guest is Gabriele La Chiara, founder and co-founder director of the La Chiara Method and co-president of the USA Devi Circle Foundation. Hello, Gabriele. She began her transformative journey in 2001 after battling breast cancer. In 2003, she established a private practice to support individual healing. A year later, she launched the Infinity Healing Training Program, now known as the La Chiara Method, with Lori Friedman. Gabriele has since trained many healers, empowering them to use their intuitive gifts for collective well-being. Today, she continues to guide others on their paths to transformation and renewal. And we have today with us Devi Mohan, inspirational speaker, spiritual guide, author, and teacher of traditional yoga. Hello, Devi. Her journey from war-torn Yugoslavia to global ambassador of the Mohanji Foundation and president of the ACT Foundation reflects her commitment to service. Co-founder of the World Womanhood Project, Devi leads transformative group processes like conscious dancing and awakening yoga nidra. Her autobiography, Home for a Refugee, embodies her mission to transform pain into purpose, inspired by Mohanji's message, live liberated and live liberated. Hello, ladies. I don't hear you. I would like to
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's the morning in the US, yeah?
Early morning.
We are here all international, all around the world. I'm so grateful to see all of you with us, including our participants. But since we are short with time, I would like to start immediately with the topic and the main question, because we hear all around social media today, sacred feminine. People are talking a lot about it. Something is happening, obviously, and some changes are happening. So my first question is, what is sacred feminine and how to unlock it and how to maintain it? And let's start with you, Devi. If you can give us your insight about this very important topic.
Yeah, well, it's a great honor to be part of this panel. It's always a joy. For me, I'm in a special position because as a woman, I'm with a man who supports this cause. Not many women have that blessing in their life, and I'm just super, super excited that we have this platform to support one another and for women to deepen and enhance our understanding of ourselves. Now, sacred feminine, in my humble view, is the topic in the world today, because the way that this dimension of our reality got kind of sidelined for so many thousands of years was not by fashion or by chance. It was brutally removed. It was stripped away from our lives. And we do have, as women, a collective trauma about this. So the moment we become aware of it is the moment when we can reconcile with it and do something about it, not as a rebellion, not with any form of aggression at the level of thought, word, action, or intention, but simply out of truth, out of coherence with the goddess within. So sacred feminine is the actual frequency, energy, or principle that allows us to tap into the divine feminine within. And especially as women, I wouldn't want to go into subject. It's feminine or masculine is not just gender based. We all have it. We know that. But definitely sacred feminine stands as a calling for us as women to enter into our coherence, our power, our truth, and to actually recognize that dimension within us. And to arise in our potential to actually emanate that energy from our heart, from our womb, from our entire being. So to live sacred feminine as women today means to be pillars of peace and strength in the world, and also to invite humanity to return back to nature, because Mother Nature, again, carries that code, and it's especially important in today's world that we as women take on that responsibility. In all Mohanji programs, in many other spiritual workshops, we see 70 to 80% of people attending spiritual workshops are women. And this is not a coincidence, because deep inside we feel it's our responsibility. We feel the calling. We are not here to blame the patriarchy. We are not here to, be in opposition. The word Satan or Satan is actually the one who is in opposition all the time against something. And we as women, we know how to flow. We know how to tap into the darkness, and we are here to teach the world that this is the right way. So that divine feminine wisdom inevitably has to come by us daring to tap into the sacred feminine dimension within. And as per my humble experience, it's all somewhere got to do with the womb space, because that is the black hole, that is the unknown with the unlimited power. And it is given only to women, not to make us egoistic, but simply to know that we carry that heaven in our physical body, and we gift that depth to the world. So we need to be truthful, and we need to be brave to work on our shadow, be brave to flow into the darkness when called, and to share truth and wisdom with the world. So that's how I would kind of start this topic. It's I could talk for hours, but I want to give a chance to our other panelists to speak as well.
Thank you, because I have some more questions on this topic, but I would like to hear the opinion of Dr. Trish and Gabriele as well. Dr. Trish, please, what is your opinion on sacred feminine?
Well, the epitome of sacred feminine is Devi, and she
Wow.
and she articulated it better than I probably can. But first of all, thank you so much for putting this together. The amount of work and the tenacity for you guys to do such an outstanding job. I'm interviewed quite a bit, and the pre-work that you all did was over and above almost anyone I've ever been interviewed by. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, of course, Debbie talked about it being the divine feminine is in all of us, in men and women, and that's just biological. We have both types of chemicals in our body, and yes, it's been knocked out of us, because anything that is smaller, more vulnerable can be preyed upon. A little child or an older person can be made to do certain things if someone is stronger, more powerful, and not as kind. And I think that going back to nature, which I think is going on right now, people are starting to see the error. It's kind of like a cancer that eats itself. And I think most men, even the most powerful, even maybe the most heinous men, are looking at themselves saying, there's something hugely missing in me. And it's that loving, it's that compassion, it's that flow that Debbie was talking about. And it's that balance of nothing works without the other side. Electricity doesn't work without both voltages. And I think that having this world be so much about conquering and so much about fear has driven out the very thing that makes it work, and that is love. And so one of my practices is love in this minute? Am I coming from a loving place, or am I trying to control this? And so it's just a little thing for me to remind myself, because connect versus convince is really how you get your way. You cannot get your way by making somebody do something that you want. And I think most powerful men are learning from the psychologists. Oops, if I'm more feminine, more gentle, more flowing, more connecting, I'm going to be able to negotiate this better. And so just in the highest forms of business, you must connect if you want to get anything done. And then just never, like Mohanji, like Debbie said, fear is satanic. It's the only thing in the Bible that describes Satan is fear. And so if you're coming from fear, you're coming from the wrong direction, and you will self-destruct at some point. So if you try your hardest when you're triggered, to say, how can I feel love in this moment? You'll kind of come back to that center where you can be powerful, so powerful, because women are really the power if given the chance. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. This is wonderful. Also, one more question for you, but we will come to that later. So, Gabriele, welcome. And what is Sacred Feminine for you?
I'm in awe and wowed, and it's exemplified just watching and listening to these beloved sisters here. I just was so grateful to be here also. I'm going to feel what I can add, because I really could hear myself in so much of what you both said. And let me just take a minute, because in my own way, to find my words, because I feel like that part of me was the part that awakened, was the part that could say, let me stop and feel, right? Let me find that connection to the sacred feminine inside me, which is receptive, which is listening, which is inside of the intuitive senses. And I do think it's really true that trauma and oppression dull and squash our intuitive senses. We either get like completely too exalted and dissociate, or we come all in that body and we lose touch with the knowing and the wisdom and the channel of wisdom that every single human is. So if I add to this and say, what is the divine, sacred, feminine? I'd say it's everything about being alive. It's birth, it's receptivity, it's the joy of being alive. It's the energy that helps us to be human, because human is hard and complicated and messy. And for me, it's been about finding that place that we can carry through all of that to inspire and find resilience. Yeah, in our work, we coined a phrase called the triunity, and we talk about the triunity as this conundrum of being human, which Chloe Faith Urban created this with me, and she's my co-director of the La Cara method. I just adore her. And the two of us realized, like, the conundrum of a human body is that we inherit oppression. We're just here, we're in it no matter what, especially as women. It comes with us. We inherit trauma. There's no way around it. It's intergenerational. Even if I think I wasn't traumatized, I will be. It is. It's vicarious. It's real. And we inherit a disconnect of earth and spirit. And to me, that reconnect of earth and spirit is through the sacred, is through the wisdom and the divinity. And when we reconnect to earth, when we reconnect to the divine and the sacred, we can then find that resilience to exalt and heal oppression, and to really step in and say, how can we heal trauma? So those are the words that are coming now. Again, I'm just so grateful to be in this conversation. Thank you.
Basically, as I understood, like every time we feel fear, we traumatize, we have fear of being open, vulnerable, we are actually on a right way to be aware of what's happening with us. Actually, we have to have a lot of strength to say, hey, this is the right path because I'm aware of everything what's happening. So I am actually not dead. So for me is the question, how both men and women to be more aware of it, and how to open themselves to be more vulnerable and not to run away from it.
Yeah,
that is the question, because we are going through huge changes. It's not easy. I see people are going into different directions, running into alcohol. They want to numb themselves because it's not easy to maintain this intensity. So how can we unlock and maintain once we open the box? Devi, would you like to say something about it?
Yeah, so that's the point in life when you first have to recognize, okay, time has come to do something about it. It's true. Most people will either deny or they will numb themselves and run away to intoxication or any other form of, in a cowardly way, running away. But now globally, we see a huge rise in frequency. Energy is rising, and there's no way of going back. So that's why we have this flooding of spiritual events, workshops, and podcasts and whatnot all over the world. And this is the amazing time to be alive. Now, when it comes to pain, we have to recognize that there is a difference between pain and suffering, and that pain can be a really, really great teacher. So as women, we carry this knowledge, like let's say women who have delivered children know that at that time you want to be alone. You don't need to chit chat with anyone. You don't need any company. And there's a point where you have to allow the pain to open you up and to teach you, and that bravery is inherent in our being. I have seen many times when women were far more brave than men, even though men are more muscled or more physically strong. But when it comes to that courage to go into the darkness, it is the women that lead the way, simply because of the womb space. So that womb space is a magical space that we can never possibly know, just like we can never with our mind comprehend what we call God. It's just beyond anything mind can understand. So the same way a black hole in the universe is beyond that point of synchronicity. There's a point where you just have to let go. You cannot be prepared for it. There's no training for it. And all our spiritual training actually is there to teach us real surrender. So surrender is essentially a feminine quality. And that's why in Vedic India, it was always said that as you progress with Kundalini and you go up through the energy vertices, the chakras, there's a point when you go to beyond the ego. And Mohanji was explaining this so beautifully, and it really stayed with me when I first time I heard it. So I want to share it now. So he says, above the Agnya chakra, there are adhars, which are not really chakras, they're like platforms. And this is the territory of Devi or Divine Mother. You know, so people who do not embrace the feminine and do not truly, with their heart, honor the feminine cannot reach the crown. You cannot reach that so-called enlightenment and the high states unless you really embrace the feminine aspect, you know. And this itself, you know, is the greatest of testimony to the value of the feminine. So the yin and yang symbol, they show, you know, there is no way of saying which one is more important. They intertwine, you know, there's no sharp edges. There is no one dominating the other. There has to be a balance. And for us to enter into coherence with divine, we need the Shiva Shakti balance. We need to invite the marriage of Shiva and Shakti in the crown. And that is the ultimate surrender. That is the ultimate expansion in our consciousness. So we all play hide and seek with divine. We all have somewhere, as souls entering the body, we go through that forgetfulness of our truth of our being. We play hide and seek, you know. In one way, it's not fun when you are in the darkness and fear, but since I had the blessing of near-death experience, and I saw, at least briefly, I saw that it is a game, you know. In the end, no matter how tough it seems to be in the 3D reality, there is always our capacity to rise above it through the fourth dimension, which is the witnessing, the inner witness, the Sakshi, and acceptance, you know. And that is just so easy, you know, to actually start getting into that space of gratitude, witnesshood, acceptance, and then the gates open up, and we will inevitably reach higher awareness as per what is karmically given for each soul. But definitely there are so many tools, there are so many ways to get there. And we now live at a time when collectively we are supported, when the masks are falling down, you know. So this heavy boot of patriarchy just does not stand a chance anymore. Just look around and you will see so many talks about priestesses, the sacred feminine, women's circles. Women are awakening around the globe and inviting the men into their sacred masculine space, you know. For you know, so we are now in this process, and there's everything that is fake is kind of coming out into in front of your nose. And so literally on one side you have the porn industry, and it's like overly exaggerated, you know, the fakeness, the operations, so all of it is so augmented now that people are like, hold on, like, I do not really like this, you know. So now this movement of coming back, especially post-COVID, I feel a lot of masks have fallen. A lot of people have realized you cannot trust the media, you know. So now people are like, oh, you know, the calling to come back to nature, the calling to tune in from within, to start searching from within. I can just feel it in collective consciousness. And I myself as a woman have also, like, last 1 year especially, I really feel this calling to work with women in the circle where there is no hierarchy, you know. It is the circle. And that's how I came across the International Devi Circle. It was interesting at the time when because my name is Devi, was planning to call my next workshop Devi Circle. Then I came across this International Devi Circle. I was like, oh my God, what a synchronicity. So it's all happening. We are all connecting, you know, in a similar way. And it brings to me immense deep satisfaction and excitement to see that we are restoring the archetype of the priestess. Mary Magdalene is no longer just a prostitute. Now there's a talk, oh, what about the gospel of Mary Magdalene? So many groups, Mary Magdalene, right? So it's happening. People are like not subscribing to this brainwashing of the patriarchy anymore. And we have also risen above the opposition of the feminist movement. So that being against, we are not subscribing to that either. So now women are coming forward in that truthful space, and now is the time to honor, celebrate, and realize the sacred feminine.
Thank you, Devi. What is coming to my mind now is like we have now this gender fluidity, and it's important to talk about that, also about all both sides or genders. It's not just about feminine women and men. Feminine and masculine concept is within all of us. So it's important for those who feel more feminine or who feel more masculine to embrace that. So I just want to ask Dr. Gabrieli, how to maintain it in a relationship, for instance. How is important for the sacred feminine to be recognized in both sides, and how to maintain it in a relationship, and how to have a healthy relationship, I would say.
You're asking a healthy relationship, like a lover romance relationship?
Like a lover romance relationship, because it's very important topic. We are living in the world where we understand that we are all individuals, but on the other side, we really suffer from being from loneliness, so to say. That's happening in today's world.
Yeah,
so
I'll share what's coming up for me. It's a large topic and a huge question. It's a huge question. And there's a lot in there with like, what is the binary, and when and how did we split us into two sides, and how we look at, I'm in the United States, but before the United States was formed, how is that happening? Sexism, what happened to the witches? 6 million of them were killed. And like all these, it's like historically there's so much. And then the United States was birthed in a divide and conquer, and racism was established, and the white over the colored, and all the blacks, and what this is, so you stir up in me all the divides, and all of the ways in which our relationships to one another require melting the divides, whether we look at those in gender and we say, oh, you're a female and you're a male because you have these sexual organs and you have those. Just that is so assumptive and painful to witness in society. And yes, I hear you saying that we're changing that. Some of us are changing that. There's a lot of people that don't understand yet what it means to melt those divides. And so what stirs in me, what I get excited about, and it is looking at what does it take to form relationships from that sacred place that are also embodied in safe body dynamics, right? Like, what does it mean to show up and merge our parts and pieces and learn masculine and feminine and everything, the rainbow sherbet in between? And so for me, it's consciousness. I think we're liberating consciousness. We're really liberating it from the grids we've been born into, and that are the structures and systems, the patriarchal systems, the colonized systems, right? So we're liberating consciousness, and my work with families and couples and people and individuals and building communities has been so much about how we attend to and liberate our aware selves, so that we can do it differently, so that we have that split second to feel, what's my choice here? Because we are our primal brains, our survival brains, the fight, flight, freeze mechanism is pretty locked in tight from all of the safety issues. And if we're driven from just the feral instinctual safety issues, we'll get lost because we'll keep those binary splits, right? How do we melt that and listen to soul speak? How do we find the information that is why we exist, how we exist, and why we're here now? Relationships that I see inside to ourselves, healing internalized oppression, outside to other, that have that space to ask the questions, to be curious, to melt the edges of what we've learned, and therefore to reawaken what we know. And I think that's where we're going. We know how to do this. I'm listening to you all speak, and I'm like, we do know inside our deep, deep core, the wisdom is here. We just have bodies. I see it as body consciousness, being consciousness, and divine consciousness. And we all have bodies that have body consciousness based on what we've experienced. Some of that's like harder and a little more limited to like sensation and feeling and pain. But we all also have these beings, these infinite sources of our own consciousness that teach us as to why we exist. And then we have divine, that nourishes us, and we all have it. So to me, it's plugging in and using the divine sacred inside our own beings, inside our wisdom channels, to relate to bodies that are going to need care. They're going to need help. They're going to need attention. They're going to need time to somatically feel and be touched and be held by one another. I don't know if I answered your question.
Beautiful. Yes, I totally agree, because
Yeah.
we have to normalize openness, vulnerability.
Yeah.
We have to normalize that we suffer, that we can show that we suffer, that we don't have to hide ourselves, that it's
Yeah.
not all the time cool to be so cool, because
Yeah.
no one of us is so cool. I mean,
Yeah.
the vulnerability is new cool, I would say. I mean,
Right.
we have to step into that
Right.
path in order to grow. That's how I see
Yeah.
all this.
And we
And I'm
we
so
train our,
happy
we
we
do.
are
Yes.
talking. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
And
we train our coaches too to normalize awkwardness. You'll see I'm a little jittery, right? It's just my
yeah,
body. Like I'm not gonna be the same as someone else who can hold their ground differently. That is how my channel works. I move. I'm a mover. And so we have to normalize the awkwardness and the connectedness and the tissue that allows all of us to be. So, yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
I'm so happy we are talking about this topic and working on reprogramming the consciousness together today. Um, so my question would be also like, what are the challenges that women face? Let's go back to women, because this is the World Womanhood Project, and we are talking here a lot about women. And I would like to and we are empowering women who are going to empower men and other people on the planet Earth. So I would like to ask you, Dr. Trish, what do you think? What are the challenges that women face in fully embracing and expressing their femininity? For instance, what is the challenge for you? What was the most challenging for you to embrace your femininity?
Well, I think everything is about our own beliefs, right? And I think Gabrielle said we some of those beliefs don't come from us; they come from our ancestors, because it really is molecular. And although I'm very, very spiritually practiced and bound. My background is scientific, so I look at the world and my beliefs as if could this really be true? And so the universe is made in perfection. I mean, the relation between the Earth and the Sun, and the Sun and Mars, and Mars and the galaxies, it's not even a half an inch off. And when you're even 105, your body is made to heal. If you get a paper cut, your body's going to try to heal the paper cut at 105. So if our beliefs are that, okay, I'm in a perfect world of perfection, can I get to that perfection? And try to look at the things that are holding us back as that possibly they're not our beliefs that are real, that they are just beliefs that we decided to believe. And I think as when I look back on coming right out of college, and some of the beliefs that I had about, my parents said that to whom much is given, much is required. And what that meant to them was, you can have or be anything you want, but don't outshine anybody else, and don't speak up, let other people speak. Well, the first time I was on a corporate board, and it was all men, I chose not to speak my truth, not to speak my opinion, because I thought I really know more than they do, and one of them needs more help than I do. And so I really quieted myself for most of my life, knowing in my gut, okay, I think this needs to be this way instead of this way. And I think that when you start to believe that this is just a fun roller coaster of feelings, right? This human body is just a bunch of feelings that are caused by chemicals, and some of them aren't even yours. And to start to play with it and not be so tethered to the stories of how we got there. Oh, this happened when I was 4, and that's why I feel so bad. Well, it may have, but it may have happened with your grandfather and you got his genes, you know. So like lighten up on yourself and start to just enjoy the ride. And when it hurts like crazy, like Debbie is explaining giving childbirth, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I don't ever want to feel that again. I probably won't. But you know, it is in that letting go and breathing through it that women are perfect at. And as much as I have learned and practiced pranayama since I was 17, um, it is in that allowing the horrible feelings, the times when you want to get under your bed and suck your thumb and tell everybody to leave you alone. And it's a good idea to leave everybody alone, because you will be no fun when you're like that. And so, you know, and then when you are in an up place and having a great day, then just go crazy and do what Gabriella does, just move all over the place. And I think if we all just enjoy the ride, as much as it may hurt, we have birth and we have rebirth, and sometimes the rebirth hurts really, really, really bad. And if we say, wow, this is just part of this experience that I, one in a bazillion, get to have, get to share, get to feel, then you kind of take away some of that sting of being tethered down into those places that have kept you small. Because we are here to play as big as we possibly can play. If we believe that, if we believe some other piece of information that came from the news or our best friend or our mother or father, that, oh, you know, you shouldn't do that because you're playing too big. Well, is that true? Or is that some belief that I developed? And so now my in this part of my life, I do everything I can to look at my beliefs and to try to enjoy the ride. And that's about it.
So basically, to all the time be aware that fear is a wrong direction, and whenever it comes, whenever it triggers, we make it conscious, make it aware, and then do the opposite, like not in the direction of fear, but the opposite.
Well, for instance, a few months ago, I had a real big bout with PTSD, and it was the second time in my life that it was really crippling. And because I had these philosophies, I knew that I just needed some extra help to reflect. So I went to a therapist who is very spiritual, but really grounded in science. And we worked through a lot of things, and I think we both taught each other some things. But um, you know, she said something profound. She said, you know, PTSD doesn't come from one incident. PTSD is locked inside of you when you're born. And then various things just pile up until it's just full blown. And the thing that I learned in going through that was my own philosophy. Just enjoy the ride, watch it. And when you are in the midst of really some kind of crippling moment of PTSD, you just go, wow, this is very fascinating. And it's really hard to separate yourself. Like, here I am in total fear and trauma. And here I am as this outside divinity going, well, this is
Observer.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just takes the sting and the hardship out of the moment, because the moment's going to pass. You know, moments just pass through us. And so sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down, sometimes they're wherever. And if we learn, and it just takes a lifetime of practice, just like yoga, takes a lifetime of practice. You don't ever get all of it.
Yeah, but you're very right. Like every time we reach the bottom, I would say there is some invisible force within us that says, "Get up, girl. You have to move on. No time to, we go into that hermit mode, but that life force within us is beyond this 3D understanding, I would say. Devi, you have also the experience when you were in your book, when I read, like when you were a teenage girl and you were a refugee, and you were so humiliated, without food, without proper clothing, and without your room, even the light in the room and the heating under your blankets, that force came out of you. Can you tell us that moment? How was
Oh,
that for you?
okay, well, as Dr. Trish said, it's never just one thing. It
Yeah.
tends to accumulate. So I had that effect. Like I was in this darkness and pain, and that wound was being revisited again and again and again. And just when I thought it can't get any worse than this, then something else came, and then I found one little light in the darkness. I locked myself onto one little thing that makes me happy and that will give me some sort of comfort and joy, and then that thing was removed. So that's where I felt like there was an opening into big abyss of darkness, and you are falling and you have nothing to hold on to. There's just that feeling of desperation when you're falling. But I caught myself at some point that I allowed myself to fall into darkness deeper and deeper. I just allowed it. I did not resist anymore,
Mhm.
and that's that part. Somewhere deep inside, I knew that I had to reach my rock bottom. And many people never heal because they haven't allowed to reach the rock bottom, and that's where the phoenix bird rises up, and we all have it inside of us. And inevitably, whether we are born in rich families, poor families, doesn't matter. We all have to go through our experience of darkness in this world in one way or another. Some people are just so attached to their family members, and when they lose them, that's what triggers it. Or there are many scenarios where that can happen, but it's just so important to have someone tell you, just go through it. You have to feel it in order to heal it. You have to go through the experience, and the pain will teach you that there's actually nothing to be afraid of.
Just to
But like,
interrupt you shortly, I had a friend the other day who told me, like, that he and his partner, they went through horrible things, and he said to me, "Listen, pain is underestimated. We all underestimate pain." So I would say, like, we all went through a lot of things, and I'm sure also, Gabriele, for you, the moment when you realized that you have a cancer, and that moment of facing your painful truth. Can you maybe share, if you would
Sure.
like to share that
Yeah.
moment with us?
I unfortunately had a lot of moments. It wasn't really one either. I had a lot of moments. Some I did to myself, honestly, like some moments of just being so off track, looking for spirit and looking for spirit through intensity and abusive relationships. And like I did all the things. And then there was like the moment where my son was born, where I had a real awakening shiver of like, oh, wait, this little being is so divine, and that's nothing that I've been looking for, but it's here. And then there was the moment of cancer, which were both very pivotal for me, where I literally had to ask, well, if I am dying, what would I do differently? Like, what am I now willing to let go of that I've been so attached to or frozen in or afraid of or resistant to? Who am I? Right. And I would say in that pinnacle time, the split second awarenesses changed my life, but I could not do that alone. I needed help. I needed people around me that had faith for me. I had to borrow it from others. Like I didn't have it. And some of us do have a stronger tenacity to find that place when we fall apart. And I really think the medicine of our time is each other, that we need to have enough non-judgmental, present humans that can accept us the way we are, that can see through and hear and feel our essence. Like people that would reach in and say, no, but I feel your love is so deep. You're here. I've got you. And we don't know if we're going to survive. I didn't know that I was going to survive. And what I knew is that for every last breath I would live, and this is over 20 years ago now, but I would live it as much as I could to experience who I am as a woman and what I'm here for, and that divine love would lead me, or I'd come back to it when it didn't. And so like there was so much in there for me, but it was messy, and I really couldn't have done it without other women, honestly, who knew me beyond what I knew, who knew my soul, who could feel it for me. And I think that's why we're circling together, is to keep reminding each other beyond the pain who we are, so that we have a place to return to, that holds us. And yeah, I could say a lot more too. But.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really, because our time is running out and we have some more things to do on this webinar. But really to conclude this topic is that those circles and getting together to support each other, not to be against each other, I would say is the safe space for all of us in order to thrive and to create kind humans. Okay, we will make a short break now with a song that I wrote, and it's called Hey Woman. And I was really inspired by all these amazing things we all went through lifetimes. And here we are today together. And after the break, we are going to have some surprises for the audience. Okay, are we ready, Nikhil?
Brought by the sun, wind and dust, I am the one whom you can trust. Your mother, your sister, your daughter, your wife. I was created to give a life. Oceans and rivers came out of me. I have the power, oh, can't you see? I'm a survivor through time and space. I am pure love, I have no race. Beaten and burned, I was standing all alone. But I have my sisters now with me. We are one. Hey woman, let's come together and make this world a better place forever. world a better place forever. Hey woman, let's take hands, make this world dance, dance, dance. Woman, together, and make this world a better place forever. Woman, dance, make this world dance, dance, dance. Woman, together, forever. Hey woman.
Here we are again, back here. Thank you, ladies.
So uplifting. We are all energized just from the song.
Are
Thank
you putting a
so
link in there for people to be able to get your music?
Yes, we can put the link, no problem. It's on the album Hearts Liberated. So yeah, the album was made last year, and the song is there. So if you want to listen it, I will put it on Zoom here later. But I don't want to take the time from our participants, and what I find very interesting is that we do something practical also for our people who are here today with us on Zoom and who are watching us live on YouTube. So I would ask you to share with us a tool or practice you do, something simple that can ground us and help us in the future. So who would like to start? Um, Devi, would you like to start since you are the pioneer? Starting with everything here.
Okay,
So,
well,
yeah.
there are quite many techniques, but what I thought of sharing would be a simple one. What I mentioned before about the connection with nature. So I do a form of alignment, clearing, healing called Maitri method, and I see there's a lot of people who have issue with lower chakras, and a lot of people are nowadays are not grounded. Especially because we are so exposed to gadgets. We live in apartment buildings, right? So I would invite now, it's at least in Europe, it's really nice weather, to really use every chance you have to find a nice tree that has like a wider tree trunk, let's say oak tree or any tree like that that's a bit wider, and then you simply sit and just lean a bit on the tree, feet are on the ground, and practice vertical breathing. So this is a super simple technique, but actually it makes wonders, and it literally invites alignment, and grounding and elevation happens at the same time. It also has that masculine and feminine side to it. So the masculine part is the inhalation, where you feel the cooling, invigorating energy entering your nostrils, and you concentrate on you bring in the element of concentration, and you kind of draw the magnetic energy of the earth through your feet, through your perineum, and up your spine as you inhale. And your eyes are closed, but you look up towards the crown. And then comes the feminine aspect, which is no concentration, just the surrender and warmth. So we feel the warmth when we exhale through the nostrils. And we also invite that warmth into our spine and central axis, as we then, from that height where we see the interaction between the branches, the leaves, and the sun, we connect to that brightness and that warmth and bring it down the spine all the way to the root. So there's no concentration there, simply warmth and letting go. So as a yoga instructor, we have this awareness about the profundity of this. It's called pratikriya asana rule, that in yoga, when you have certain asanas that are like intense extensions, then as per this rule, what follows is the flexion. Or where there's something really hard, then something easy and surrendering, like child pose, right? So these are the the rules that actually, why? Because this tricks the mind. So concentration, effortlessness, so these two, these are like very simple stuff, but you really see it does what it does to you. It aligns you, and it really reduces the chattering mind, so you can just feel. We need to feel. And you will notice when you do this leaning on a tree that spontaneously your kundalini connects with the kundalini of the tree. So the trees are great healers. They support us. They're such amazing creations of divine. So when I visited, for example, the Holy Land, my highest experience was to see the original 2 olive trees from the Gethsemane garden. For me, that was the highest experience of the whole thing, not the churches, because they were there. They were actually alive, and touching those trees, I immediately started crying, so I don't know, maybe it's just me. I just really love the trees, and I love to feel them. And this is the practice that I would recommend. So were you thinking us to do the practice or to explain the practice, Yelena?
My idea was to explain and to just for a second or for a minute, just to
Okay, so I'll
do
give
the
it
practice,
maybe
to lead us
2
through
minutes.
practice. Yeah.
Okay, so let us try that. And what we will do then, we'll just do 2 minutes of this breathing. And then I will just do a bit of chanting. And one of the favorite mantras of mine, which was given to me by a great saint called Devi Amma, it's the focus on your crown and chant Om Shiva Shaktiye Namaha. So we invite that balance of Shiva and Shakti into our life. May it be reflected in our relationships, in our expression, in our life, in our overall alignment. And we simply focus on the crown and chant. Okay, so you can chant along or simply listen to me, and we'll just do this breathing now. Okay, so right now we are seated in our rooms, but we will imagine that we are in the nature, leaning on a tree. Our feet are on the ground, perineum is on the ground. So first, just relax your entire body. Allow the mind to relax, eyelids, jaw, tongue, lower jaw. Everything is relaxed, arms, legs, trunk, pelvis. And now we'll do 100% concentrated inhalation. As you inhale, feel or imagine you're drawing the earth, magnetic energy through your feet, through your perineum, up your spine, and you can look up and you can feel or see from within the tree connecting with the sun. And on the exhalation, relax your eyes, start flowing down your spine with warmth and surrender, and exhale. And again, inhalation, concentrate, draw the energy from earth. Feel the cooling air going up, look up, and on the exhalation, through the nose, feel the warmth, not just through the nostrils, but also through your spine as you surrender. Again, inhale, invigorating, cooling energy up. Look up, exhale, warm energy down. Focus on your central axis. Inhale through the feet and perineum. And up, look up, feel the crown. On the exhale, warm energy down. One more time with full concentration. Inhale through the feet and perineum up. Feel yourself going with cooling energy up through the spine. Feel the crown, look up, and then relax and warm exhalation through the spine. Travel with the energy down. Very good. Now as you're relaxed in your body, feel your central axis. And just lovingly bring your attention to your crown. Feel that soft fontanelle. They were so soft when we were babies, and we still had that direct connection to the source. So you can imagine that your fontanelle are soft again, and we'll just do chanting with the focus on the crown, top of the head. Om Shiva Shakti Namaha. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Right, let's just stay with the energy. Feel the effect at different layers of your being. And slowly we'll just rub the palms, make them warm. Cover your eyes with your loving warm palms. Relax the physical eyes in the warmth and darkness. Inhale, and as you exhale, slowly you can remove your palms and gently open the eyes. That was as short as I could make it.
But still, it's very calming and very peaceful. Breathing
Yeah,
always
but you can
helps.
practice this longer in the nature. You can make it like 10, 15 minutes and just be
Yeah.
there and then just stay in silence. So that will
Yeah.
be it.
Really, really relaxing. Dr. Trish, thank you, Devi.
I'm still so relaxed. I'm not sure I can do anything for a bit.
I don't
Well-
know what is happening right now, but maybe because it's like every time we have some program or something, I feel my crown is like pulsating all the time. So it's really intense.
Yeah. Well,
but-
we're all experiencing something really incredible right now. You know, it's like planting seeds. You just keep watering them, letting the sun come in. So for this, I wanted to be as succinct as possible to reach as many people as possible. I've been teaching something, especially yoga, but I've been teaching my entire life. And I try to find the simplest thing that is going to make the most profound difference, the quickest way. Because in some cases, I've been in front of many people in an auditorium that were really struggling. I mean, at a very low point in their life. And so one of the things that I can tell everyone that a lot of your feelings are emulating through the vagus nerve. And so there's when you are completely out of control, when you're in terror and you're angry and all of those feelings that you feel like you can't do anything about, it's true, you can't, because when you're in limbic, it shuts your thinking brain down. So when you're in fight or flight, you just want to fight or flight, or freeze. And so the idea is, how do I interrupt this? Because I can't think straight. Right. And sometimes you can't think straight to the point where you can't even remember what I'm about to tell you. But if you stand on one foot, if you do any balancing whatsoever, balancing is triggered about 2 inches underneath your belly button. And it's an umbilical reaction that's connected to all connections, through our mothers. And so when you're on one foot or you do something that triggers balancing, it stops that vagus nerve from stimulating your fight or flight area. So if you can just somehow remember, put a rubber band or something, if you're really struggling, and do that really quickly, it'll start to subside very, very quickly. And of course, your breath will take you right in there, and nature. Devi and I have had the incredible opportunity to do these walking meditations with Debbie by herself and also with Mohanji, and it's just being in nature is so powerful, but sometimes people are in prison or they can't get out, you know. So then how can I get deep inside of myself? So I teach this one class called the 7 senses, and we all have been taught the 5 senses, but actually I think there are so many senses that have yet to be discovered. So I don't think that there are a certain number. I think just as complex as we are as humans and as complex as our emotions and our body are, we don't know what we don't know. We probably know this much when actually there's this much to know. So just in practicing.
We don't hear you, Dr. Trish, now. You are muted.
Oh, I
Yeah.
must have hit something. So I practice senses. So very quickly, if you can think about what you want, not what you don't want, because when you're in a very tough situation, you are grabbing all the memories that are helping feed that. So if you can think of things like a lemon, think of a lemon and biting into a lemon. And what does it taste like? What does it feel like on your teeth? What does it smell like? What does it sound like when you bite into it? And then the 2 other senses that are kind of prominent right now, the one is balance, so we don't need to do that one. But the other one is one that is a sense of where I am in any space. And so if you think about the space in your throat, it's just a dark space, right? But it is part of your human body, even though there's nothing in it. And if you think of that space in the middle of your throat, and you take that space with your eyes closed, and you take it outside of the earth with your body around it, but you're not concentrating on your body, you're only concentrating on that one space in your throat in outer space, outside of the earth. And then you think, where am I? And you think that space is right here. And so it's been my 5 minutes. And so I'm going to stop now and let Gabriella take over.
Thank you, Dr. Trish. This was really like like normalizing, making conscious spaces we are not conscious at all about. That's really amazing, mind-blowing actually. And then it's like with fear, I would say. Once we go through fear, we realize that fear doesn't exist. It's an illusion. Like, yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Gabriele?
Thank you. So in our body of work, we also address the fight, flight, freeze, primal brain responses. And so we have one tool that I want to teach because it's a simple breathing technique that can be very effective at reducing that tension of the fight, flight, freeze response. And as you were saying, Dr. Trish, like the feeling that how do I get out of that hijacked feeling? And so this is one tool that we have that releases the hijack, kind of hacks into the parasympathetic nervous system. And that is the part of our nervous system that helps with digest and rest and metabolize. And in our body of work, we look at that. The sympathetic, that fight, flight, freeze, both for where we're scared, but also what motivates us. And the parasympathetic, the digest, metabolize, rest, integrate. And I find so much medicine and learning to hack into that part of the nervous system so that we can take that simple one more breath and receive. And I think that all of our meditative tools really aim at that. So the one we do is you take your little fingers here, and you don't have to be perfect. I like to aim at the brainstem and the amygdala, which are the parts of the brain that connect. So this amygdala is a people call it the reptilian brain for a reason. It's a stimulus for fight, flight, freeze. And so if we took our little fingers and we could imagine that we could aim like right behind the ear, we could have little light beams that could go in and massage the amygdala. You have your fingers right behind the earlobes, and you'll feel a little spot there, whatever feels good to you, because it's our imagination. But what we'll do is we'll release both sides of the breath. So the first thing we'll do is when we're breathing in, we'll press into that area. And when we're exhaling, we'll just loosen our fingers. So we'll do this together and I'll help us do it. So when you're ready, we'll breathe in and we'll press for 1, 2, 3. And when we exhale, we'll loosen it up for 1, 2, 3. And if you can get 4, that's amazing. If your breath cycles are different than mine, don't worry. When you breathe in, press in. 1, 2, 3. And exhale, release. And 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do that one more time. Breathing in, pressing in for 1, massaging that amygdala. 2, 3. Exhaling, releasing. 1, letting that go through the inside part of your spine. 3, 4. And take a second and just shake that off. Shake out your hands. Just relax for 1 moment if you can. Your eyes can be opened or closed, whatever you need. Good. And then we'll, on our inhale, let ourselves know we're going to do it again, this time on the reverse breath. So we'll bring our fingers back up and we'll breathe
Just to be
into
sure,
that.
that is this part behind
It's
our
right
ear.
behind here. And really, truthfully, it's an access point, and you'll feel the hard kind of bone of that, that part of the cranium come down. But it's, you don't have to be perfect. You're really looking, you're just looking to create connection. And if it feels good, you're doing it right.
Okay.
It does not, everybody goes for perfection, but this, because we're using an energetic tool, we're using our intention to go in and sort of massage our connection and our relationship, and it's our breath that's doing the work. So this time when we press in, we'll press in when we exhale. So we'll keep our fingers loose, and when we're ready, we'll breathe in. 1, 2, 3, and round it over and breathe out. Press in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you'll breathe in, release your fingers. 1, 2, 3, and you'll exhale, press in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and one last time, breathing in. 1, 2, 3, and exhale, pressing in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then let that melt and shake it off however you need. We use what are called activations with this, and in the La Kara method, I channeled these beautiful activations. There's many of them for different reasons. I'm just going to offer one just to gift it to people. We also have a link for a free gift called Transform Your Life in 8 Days, which are questions and activations that work together. So I'm going to just offer this to you. You can receive it. It's got like strong language, especially for so many of us women, where we're so afraid to step in and into our power, and power has been forced and used over us. So it starts with an I command, and it's I commanding. You're commanding, you're taking charge of your energy. What we have the sovereignty to choose is the energy we live in. So I command the vibrational source of consciousness. That's your own higher self, yours, your vibrational source of consciousness, to release all the injuries that aren't required for now, just to release those from the past, present, and future so that we can find now. I command the vibrational source of consciousness to release injury recall, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, energetic, genetic, for the past, the present, and for the future. And activate change and generate healing immediately. We'll take a breath in together when you can. And exhale nice and long all the way out. And I'll do this one more time. I command the vibrational source of consciousness. And today let's aim at all the ways in which women have been oppressed, our own internal oppression and trauma. What can we let go of now that allows us to feel our own potency, our own essence, our own divinity? I command the vibrational source of consciousness to release injury recall, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, energetic, genetic, past, present, and future. Activate change and generate healing immediately. Breathing in, and then all the way out, all the way out, nice and deep and long. And we'll just take a moment here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Recognizing again where we have our agency. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great. Oh,
Thank you both. Really beautiful.
it was really beautiful. Thank you, all three of you. Yeah, I would like now to see how our audience, how our participants feel. Do they have any question? Can we see our participants now? Can you turn on cameras so we can see you guys? Hello? Oh, some are sitting outside enjoying a beautiful weather. Do you have any question regarding today's topic? And would you like to share with us or to ask? And if yes, turn on your microphone, please. Angelica is here with us. She would like to ask something. Yeah. Hi, Angelica.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. My name is Angelica Castro, and I use she, her, they, them pronouns. So grateful to be here. Gabrielle invited me, and I was in her cohort, the last cohort that she had, her and Chloe. And so thank you for sharing those tools. And I was excited to be here because I love talking about the sacred femininity and learning more about it. Thank you all for sharing your beautiful stories. I think I learn experientially and also through storytelling. So hearing you all tell your stories of why you're doing what you're doing and how you came to your awareness and your practices. So thank you. The question I have is so I call myself the revolutionary love coach. And when I think about love, and I love what you all were sharing about, like really loving yourselves and utilizing this time to really, you know, feed and also fill ourselves up so we can continue to do this work of inspiring communities and other women. Um, so love really around listening, openness, vulnerability, and empathy. And I'm doing a lot of that work with clients and organizations. But I was thinking about my work with young girls and women because I think when I think about my work that really resonates like in this kind of like this my soul speak, thinking about me as a young girl and the messages that I received against kind of my sacred femininity and feeling that, and then the messages I continue to receive as a woman. So my question for you all, I heard your stories and they were very inspiring, a lot like mine, where I was kind of older when I realized and the awareness and, things happened that was like, whoa, tragic, divorce, loss. I'm thinking kind of like, then, some of you breast cancer or a near death experience, then you're awakening, and which is powerful. I'm wondering about working with girls, right? Like we don't want to wait till they're like women and experiencing kind of like, whoa, it's a wake up. So when we're but also there's something about experience that teaches us. Any experience you all have working with young girls and really having these messages kind of guiding or how or sharing these messages with them in a way that they can receive it, or that's as young girls, right? Like sometimes mothers or parents or caretakers kind of guide what they learn. So how do you reach girls and women or young women around this message and topic, so we can start to really transform what the messages that we learn as women, as young girls and women? So I don't
Fantastic
know if the
question.
question is clear. Yeah.
Fantastic question. Thank you, Angelica, because it comes from the very early stage and age, even in the womb already. Who would like to give the answer? Gabriele, you worked with minors, as I understood. So maybe
I
you
did
could
see
give us.
Dr. Trish wiggle her fingers there. I didn't know if you wanted to speak first. I don't want to.
No,
Yeah,
go right
go
ahead, Gabriella. But and
Yeah.
I do have something that just
Yeah.
a little,
Yeah, the thing I think about, Angelica, is how we have it in us already. you know, and what is it to live and model and feel so that these youth and young adults can actually feel it through our bones and our skin and our tissues, you know. So there's one aspect is like, what does it feel like to emit, literally to translate and emit the information to these girls in a way that they can feel it through you and want it. And so much of my experience has been like, how do we circle them with enough other women who are embodied in choosing a path of sacredness so that they actually feel like it's attractive, you know. And the other thing I think of is normalizing. So how do we give those tools in the toolbox that are, I think if we can help, there's so much anxiety right now. I think if we can help our girls to be a little calmer, if we can help them to find their knowing and their to learn how to listen inside, and so how we stimulate the conversations about how to listen to oneself, and sometimes it is too much for the children, don't want to hear all the divine, sacred, feminine words. Sometimes they do. But in my work, I think often I can bring it into insight and awareness and empowerment. And that I find I can then morph, you know, the tools into a user-friendly way for those youth to say, oh, I want that because it's going to help me now. It's going to help me make good decisions with my friends. It's going to help me go to sleep more easily or have less anxiety or be more inspired. And so the last thing I'll say is creativity is key. We need creative outlets. We need to be playing and in nature and dancing and moving and drawing. And so whatever creative expressions we can bring in, I think it does light us up. And I think it lights that sacredness of our feminine aliveness, really, really brings it to the surface. So those are things I would say.
Thank you. Dr.
Mhm.
Trish?
Well, I totally agree with all of the ideas that Gabriella had, especially the creativity. I think all of us who've been avid learners and practitioners our whole life, we have a lot of information that we can impart, and we want to kind of give everybody everything that we've got. But as I have worked with youth, and especially mentoring young girls or bunches of young girls from different countries, the thing that I have to remind myself is, okay, maybe I have all these developed opportunities, but if, let's say, one young girl is in front of me in that moment, then I know that that's a divine moment. And I just try to meet them where they are, not try to give them every knowledge I have, every connection I have with every thing that I think that they're going to need. But you know, most youth right now, I see a dichotomy in. I have huge hope as I spend time with youth right now. Huge hope. They have huge dreams that, you know, at 15 I for sure didn't have, and so I love that. But I also see a very sinister approach to life. Like, it's not going to work. Nothing's going to go well. Everything is screwed up. And you heard a little bit of that throughout youth, you know, my youth, even Aristotle's youth. You heard this kind of like, yeah, you know, older people are ruining everything. But I think if you can help connect versus convince, my first number one rule, connect versus convince. So they don't want to know everything I know. They don't want to know that. They want to know how to fix things with their boyfriend. They want to know why their best friend won't speak to them anymore. They don't want to know about world peace. They want to know how to be peaceful when their parents are screaming at each other and, you know, their dad is totally drunk. So, you know, they just want little bitty answers to profound things that are going on in their life. And if you give them one little piece of hope or opportunity to get together with themselves, they'll ask you for more. They'll never leave you alone. And so, yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. The last thing I want to say, because I want to be mindful of other people, thank you all for mentioning also, or for speaking to kind of the binary, and also, you know, in terms of, because my daughter came out as trans a few years ago, at 21. And so it's also had me a lot of conversations around kind of femininity, masculinity, and the spectrum and the binary. And so thank you. Thank you all for doing this again.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would just like to add on this topic. I was at one retreat with Mohanji when we had an exercise, and that exercise led to sort of meditation, and that meditation was very dynamic meditation. And I felt at that moment all the pain my mother was going through when I was in her womb. So I was screaming. I had tears in my eyes. I could not stop crying because I felt her pain. So we know the moment we are born, that's not the beginning. I just think that we have to be very honest from the very first beginning. And also, what I think is important to explain the sacred womb and who we really are as women to our daughters, to our, let's say, girls, yeah, so that we are not anymore ashamed of our body and who we really are, and to protect ourselves in that way, I would say, to get out of that narrative. So we have second question, Linda. Linda is with us. Linda.
Yep, I'm here.
Hello.
Hi. Thank
Hi.
you. The tools you've given us have been very good. I am complex PTSD. I am non-binary. And I think one of the things, and I work with women who are trying to find themselves and get rid of the patriarchy within. I feel that it's important, and I'd love to have you discuss this, that we need, as we're working to free everyone, and we have to free ourselves first, that we don't overemphasize that there is only the divine feminine, there is also the divine masculine. We are all Shiva Shakti.
Exactly.
Right? And sometimes that gets lost. And certainly gets lost in the backlash that is happening right now, with all the emphasis on you're either one or you're the other. It's been an interesting journey for me, and very recently, actually, to finally come to terms with all this and looking for that relationship within myself and recognizing all of the times in my life, since I'm older here, that the rebellion and the anger came from everybody telling me, you can't do that because you're female, when inside I'm saying, no. Right? So the insult is a double insult. And I think we need to recognize the percentages as well as the black and white. So if you'd like to address that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Ladies.
Well, I have a daughter who has autism, and you know, they talk about spectrum now, but in the days that I had her, she was well, first of all, they told me to put her in an institution because she would never be able to do anything. And then by the time we got into her schooling, many schools said that she was mentally retarded, which now we know is just such a silly way to talk about someone. But Linda, when you're talking about those percentages, I think I learned maybe the hard way with my daughter Dory, because the percentages are all over the place, right? And today she's an amazing woman. And I think a lot of people are saying, well, autism is actually an asset. Now it's not a liability. But I think that goes in all aspects of who we are. We are these bunch of things in a person, in a human, right? And we have percentages of all kinds of parts inside of us, but we're part of all of it because we're all in the same bowl of soup. We're all in the same pot of soup. And so we all kind of, blend off of each other as well. But nobody is 100% this or 100%. Nobody is that. We're all like parts of parts of parts of parts. And at the end of the day, I think we're parts of perfection. And so, you're right about all of the messages and all the things that we were told to believe and to produce this thing that's supposed to be us when it doesn't even feel like us at all. And I think that when we can just go, gosh, it's so fun to see all the percentages of the percentages and that nobody can be really defined. Nobody. And so, yeah, thanks, Linda, for the question.
Thank you, Dr. Trish. Debbie, would you like maybe to add something on this?
Yeah, I would just start with the previous question. I also feel, because I have a teenage daughter, and what I felt whenever I tried to push her to do something that did not work. But when you speak to them in a mature way, and for example, we have this within Monji platform, we have Early Birds Club for kids and teens. And for example, that proved to be a really good way for the kids to connect through certain values, right? And she initially did not want to wake up in the morning early, and then she tried, and then she realized that it actually makes a lot of sense to wake up early, to have a bit of time for yourself, to set the intention for the day, not to be in a stress and a hurry, to get that extra time. And she started actually following that, but initially there was a resistance. So that kind of connects with the second question, where I feel that the biggest contribution we give to anyone is to actually tell them, accept yourself the way you are, be open for the advice, but always await your inner confirmation. Trust there is a divine in you, and if you really embrace yourself and accept yourself the way you are, you will not be a slave of other people's judgment and opinion. And this is something we need to remind one another. It's just so important. It's very simple, but we easily lose that perspective. In the end, your reality is what you experience from within. And when you accept yourself the way you are, you don't have to prove yourself to be something that you already are, because we just need to learn to be natural and to accept ourselves. Then that suffering aspect reduces, or it goes away, because comparing ourselves to others, trying to blend in, to imitate, to fit as per somebody's standards, is what actually creates all the heaviness for young people and the grown-ups as well. In my view, even the gender issues and stuff, as long as there is a free will aspect is respected, as long as one doesn't go into the area of pedophilia and abusing of small children, I'm completely fine with anyone exploring anything about themselves. Violence is the only issue that I would have. We say that also in Monji Foundation. We don't have strict rules. We simply don't adhere or support violence of any form. But at some point, all of us have to become naked with ourselves. We have to look within ourselves, accept ourselves, and work on that. Don't be a slave of other people's opinion. So that's one thing. And finally, mythology. We have been stripped of the archetype of the sacred sexuality, sacred feminine. All of that went into shaming, went into the whore and the virgin dichotomy that we were caught in for millennia. So now we come back to reconnecting with the mythology, with the archetypes, and finding the right stories to read to our children before going to sleep. That's another initiative we started with the Early Birds Club, the bedtime stories. It's just so important, because we all know the power of the alpha state of mind. This is the most receptive state. What Margie said, who talks about liberated beings on earth? Who talks about the masters? Who talks about moksha? or being liberated, we don't seem to see this anywhere on our TVs, right? So we have to speak about this amongst ourselves. We have to start energizing that highest aspect of our existence, and the very possibility of us being liberated from the slavery of the mind and gravitational pull to reincarnate again and again. We can talk about this. And this goes beyond gender. It's got nothing to do with men or women. But I feel for our children, we have to expose them to these higher values and higher topics, and give them the time, take them out to nature, tell them, you are fine the way you are. And these are like this, and give them just a loving attention without judgment. That's all I would say.
I'd love to, do I have a minute?
Yeah.
I know that we might be tight on time, and thank you all for your sharing. Linda, I just, first I work with and am part of a large queer, trans, and non-binary community here and across the world, but across the nation in particular. And I've learned so much, so much. I've been blessed to have people bring these types of issues into my realm to teach me how to show up and how I can show up more. And it's a question. It's just a big question. And so I want to say first, I just want to reach in and say thank you for being you and for doing what you're doing on this earth. Thank you for asking the questions, but thank you for living yourself and giving your own life experience to the table here. I mean, I really appreciate, I think people who are coming in or coming out or learning themselves, it's hard, and our society is scary. And depending upon where you live, in our region, I live in a Western Mass, Amherst, and it's more open, and people are still terrified to come out and say that they're non-binary or that they're trans, or so. I think it's a delicate and sensitive topic, and I feel my responsibility for myself personally is to really hold room for those conversations to happen as often as they can, whenever they do, to almost like not know people in some ways so that they can change right before my eyes, to keep the boxes open so that I am not by mistake keeping you one way when you're changing, and I don't, I want to see and be present. And I think these loving containers are everything. So I just thank you for bringing up the question. Our science and our medicine and our therapy, we put us in parts and pieces. Our culture is to fix this part and not look at this part. And like we go to the doctor for our gallbladder, but nobody's understanding how that's affected by our emotions or our grief. And so I think any way we can see that we need wholeness. It was early on for me, my fear about talking about divine feminine was that I was creating more split away from the wholeness of who we are. And I was really afraid to do that. And even every time I show up for the conversation, I have a little like, I don't want to be a part of like separating, I want to be a part of wholeness. And to me, divine feminine really in its archetype is everything. It's everything. It's not a different part. It's like the wholeness of all we are. So yes, it's a heart conversation for me in my heart, to keep active and ask, how can we be a part of the healing? How can we be part of the wholeness? How can we be part of the restoration of who we are, and not cause more split? So thank you. Your question is very deep in my heart, and I appreciate your work.
Yeah, there's always the tendency, it's a pendulum, and we've had 4,000 years of extreme patriarchy.
Yeah.
So we have to be so careful not to swing too far, at least in our language and how we address people.
Right.
In order to bring that healing. And the more that we have our language, the more we can find that balance, I think, is good. So
Really
thank you all.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, ladies, for actually giving a space for a new topic, for a new webinar. We have so many things to discuss, and we are actually in the new times, and new times require also new language, and we are all learning, I would say, right now. And new times bring huge extreme situations until we find the balance. And I'm so happy that we were balanced today, giving some probably good tools and answers to ourselves and to the audience as well. We came to an end of today's webinar. And from the bottom of my heart, I would really like to thank you for being available, for giving us your wisdom, and for sharing your experiences with all of us. It was awesome. And we also have a small token of gratitude for all of you. We have our certificate, gratitude certificate. And Nikhil, I hope it's ready to be shown for, yes, for Devi.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I'm gonna make a collection. I'm
Yes.
starting.
And we have also for Dr. Trish certificate.
Aw,
Thank you,
so
Dr.
much.
Trish.
That's
Thank
beautiful.
you for,
Thank you.
for being with us. And Gabriele, thank you so much for bringing us something new and the topic, and yeah, for the
Thank you for
future webinar.
including me. I feel so
Thank-
incredibly honored to be with you, amazing, amazing beings and women. Thank you for sharing this time with me.
Thank you. Yes,
Really
this is
appreciate the invitation.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is a World Womanhood project, and we are really like looking forward to open so many topics and to support each other, to connect, and to continue nurturing each other and open some new perspectives. So we really like our project and like our guests as well. So thank you so much, and thank you, audience, and we see each other in I think soon. Thank you for being the part of this project. Thank you all the best.
Thank you for
Wonderful.
your
Thank you.
amazing moderation. You did
Thank
lovely,
you.
lovely job
Yeah.
taking care of us.
Thank you so much.
Singing, moderating, everything.
Yeah, everything.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. It's so honored to be here. Thank you. It's so nice to meet you, Dr.
Beautiful
Trish.
panel.
And you all,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
And thank you,
guys.
Bharati and Savi, also from the
Thank
background
you.
for all the support.
Before we finish this, I would really like to say like Linda Bharati Abrol and our Savi and Nikhil, who are standing behind, and Tulika and our Mimansa, who did all these beautiful posters. Thank you so much. If I missed someone,
Arushi.
Arushi is also with us. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Thank you, everyone, so much. If we wanted more information about you all, how would we find it?
You can see it on my Insta on Angelica. Their connection to, you can find Festival of Womanhood on my Instagram.
Wonderful. Thank
Yes,
you.
I'm
you
linked
can find
with
us
them.
on Instagram. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And we are there to answer all questions.
Wonderful. I would love to know how to continue to support you all. So thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Oh, look, I
Thank
did
you.
the hearts. Thank you. Mm. Mm. Yay.
Nikhil.
It's so fun when those happen.